What's up and welcome to our youth service. We are so glad that you're joining with us from wherever you are watching this. We are so glad that we can gather together virtually and we can be a part of what God has for us. Now you're gonna see a message in a few minutes, and then after that, there's some discussion questions that you can either talk about with the people around you, or you can just journal about yourself. We're really excited about what God is gonna do through this message in you. Thanks a lot for joining us. Oh, stop scrolling. Tell me you're a Christian without telling me you're a Christian. Okay, I know this isn't TikTok and that was probably a pretty lame joke, but I think most Christians would have a really hard time answering that question. Tell me you're a Christian without telling me you're a Christian. Like, I go to church. Or like, I prayed a prayer one time. Right? Or maybe if you're like me, when they were younger, they'd say, well, I had this Bible in my room. Right, that was my thing. I had this Bible and it would sit next to my bed. So any friends who came over, my parents walk in, anything, they'd be like, oh, Todd's really spiritual. He's got his Bible there. Literally never opened it, right? But it was there. And maybe that's how you'd answer. You're like, yeah, I'm a Christian because I have all these things that I do. And over the next couple of weeks, we're actually going to dive into that. What does it mean to be a Christian? How do you live it out? Tell me you're a Christian without telling me you're a Christian, right? There's a difference between saying it and living it. There's a difference between saying, yes, I'm a Christian, and we're really good at explaining maybe what it is that we believe, and maybe just like the basic concept of it, or even just, yeah, I go to church, or yeah, I'm a Christian, but we don't actually live it out, right? We have to show that we're a Christian, and here's how we do it: by living our mission. By living our mission. If you're a follower of Jesus. Now, if you're not, we're glad that you're here. But I'm specifically talking to people who call themselves a Christian, who call themselves a follower of Jesus. If you're a follower of Jesus, you have a mission. See, too many Christians, though, they just kind of float through life. You ever been at a place before where you didn't know what to do? You kind of just floated around? Maybe it's when you showed up to groups today. Maybe you were one of the first people there and you're like, I don't really know where to go. Like, I don't know what to do. And you kind of just like floated around. Maybe you've been in social situations before and you're like, I don't know who to talk to. And I'm just here. I'm just kind of bouncing around the room. It's kind of awkward. I think for a lot of Christians, that's how they live their Christianity. They're like, I went to church. I showed up here. I bounced around there. And they just float through life, but there's no mission. There's no intentionality. And what a mission is it's saying, here's what I need to accomplish. Here's what I need to do. Okay, and the first thing I want you to know is this. If you're taking notes or if you're just really good at remembering, I want you to remember this. We have a mission and we don't get to choose it. See, I think of the military. In the military, they're given missions from their superiors, from their commanding officers. The commanding officers come in and they say, listen, military members, here's your mission. Here's what it is that you need to go accomplish, that you need to do. And what the enlisted people don't get to do is they don't get to go, wait a sec, that's not actually what I want to do right now. Right? What they don't get to do is go, let's just talk about it and figure out what we think our mission should be. Right? The commanding officers are like, no, dude, I told you to do this. See, as Christians, we don't get to decide what our mission is. Our mission was given to us. We don't get to go, I just don't really feel like doing that right now. We have a mission and we don't get to choose it. It's been given to us. So what is that mission? What is the mission? If I'm telling you that there's a mission that we're supposed to be doing, and if you're a follower of Jesus, that you're supposed to accomplish this mission, what is the mission? And it's pretty clear. Jesus said this, Matthew 28:19. He said, go and make disciples. Right now here's the stage. Here's what's going on. Jesus is ascending to heaven. This is essentially the last thing he said on earth before he ascended to heaven. And at this moment, Jesus could have said anything. He could have been like, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to gather together and I want you to really study my words so that you can learn all these things and you can just get all this knowledge. No, that's not what he said. He could have said, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to make sure that your church attendance is on point and you're there every week. No, he didn't say that, right? Jesus right here, the moment he could have said anything, he said, here's what I want you to do. Here's your mission. Ready for it? Go. Go tell people. Right? Go tell people about me. He says in Acts 1:8, this is what it says. It says, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. Right? Those are the surrounding towns, so it would be more like this. You will be my witnesses in Livermore, in Danville, in Brentwood, in Hayward, and to the ends of the earth. That's the mission. He's calling you. He's saying, hey, you Christian, I got a mission for you. It's to go tell people. Acts 13:47, for this is what the Lord has commanded us. Right? Lean in right now. The Lord's commanding you something, so you want to hear. What is he going to say? I have made you a light for the world, that you may bring salvation to the ends of the earth. Are you seeing a theme? I'm just nailing it over and over and over because there's so many verses where Jesus says, here is the mission. Here it is. I'll give you another one. John 15:12. This is my commandment. Love each other the same way that I have loved you. We have a mission. You have a mission. I have a mission. If you are a follower of Jesus, he has commanded you and said, here is your mission. And we don't get to go, I kind of disagree. I think we're supposed to. No. You have a mission. You don't get to choose it. That's your mission. See, most Christians, though, are focused on something different. Most Christians are focused on, I just need to grow. Right? Maybe you've heard that before at church. It's like, maybe I just need to grow in my faith. And I'm not saying that growth is a bad thing. You need to grow. Like literally in life, you need to grow. If a baby stayed a baby their whole life, you'd be like, something wrong with that kid, right? Like they need to grow just like we all need to grow in our faith. But I think we go about it in the wrong way. We think the only way to grow is to stay inside of our nice bubble, to be inwardly focused and just focus on each other, and that's how we will grow in our faith. Second thing I want you to know is this, though, is if you want to grow, if you want to get close to the Father, because that's what growth is, if you want to get close to the Father, here it is. If you want to get close to the Father, you have to care about his children. That's how you get close to a father. Man, I have 4 kids. You want to get close to me? You better start caring about my kids. I'm reminded of this. This actually happened a few years ago. I went to go to this restaurant. I went to get Greek food because I love Greek food. I was with my in-laws at the time. And so we took our kids to this Greek restaurant with my father-in-law, and we get in there, and the kids are playing, and you know how on the table they have that little thing with the sugar packets and like the little Splenda packets and stuff? So my kids are playing with that, and they're like lining them up. Like they're not being bad, they're just kind of playing with those, and they're lining them up on the table, and someone from that restaurant came over and grabbed them from our kids, like took them out of their hands, and like my kids were doing something bad or something. Like they're just little kids, but these people, this restaurant, like started treating them kind of rude and like, can you take care of your kids? And they're kind of like rough. And my father-in-law at that moment, he was just like, and this is a restaurant we love, but in that moment he was like, let's go. And he got up from the restaurant right then, and we left. And I was like, oh, can I get €1? Like I was still hungry, but we left. And here's why: because you want to get to my father-in-law's heart, you better treat his grandkids well. You know, the quickest way to get on his bad side, nicest guy you'll ever meet, quickest way to get on his bad side, treat his grandkids badly. See, you want to get close to the Father, you got to care about his kids. You want to get close to God, you got to care about his kids. See, our focus needs to shift from ourselves to others. We live in a world that desperately needs Jesus, and Jesus is going, I gave you a mission to carry that to them, to give me to them. And that's how we grow. We grow by caring about what Jesus cares about, by caring about what God cares about. See, our focus needs to shift from ourselves to others. Instead of being inwardly focused, instead of focusing just inside the walls of the church, we need to focus outside. Because here's the next thing I want you to know. Write this down. Again, if you're a note taker, God isn't calling us to go to church. He's calling us to be his church. Mind blown, right? Because what we think is we got to show up to a church building in order to go to church. And it's been difficult over this last year. This last year, we've been like, well, we can't go to a building. So what do? Church is on pause until we can go back to a building. But it's because we get it wrong. Church isn't something that we do. Church is what he's called us to be. All right, John 13:35 says this, by this, everyone will know that you're my disciples if you love one another. Right, do you notice right there in that verse, he didn't say, by this, they'll know that you're my disciples if you show up to church on Sundays. By this, they'll know that you're my disciples if you go to groups. And again, I'm not saying those things are bad. I love going to church. I love coming to groups. I love that, and that's amazing. But he said, you will be known as my disciples if you love one another. Okay, I get it, Todd. You've laid it out a million times. We're supposed to love others. We're supposed to be others focused. We're supposed to bring the message of Jesus to others. That's our mission. Good. I'm glad you're with me. We're tracking here. How do you do it though? How do you do it? Number one, shift your focus. When you shift your focus to being outwardly focused, you'll start noticing the opportunities around you. Right, you ever played this game in the car where you're driving maybe a long distance and if you see a certain color car, you get a point, or like slug bug? You ever played that game? You see the slug bug and you just get to sock the person next to you. Best game ever. If you haven't played it, you need to play it. Don't tell your parents that I'm the one that introduced you to it, okay? Awesome game though, but here's what happens. When you start noticing maybe it's out-of-state license plates, you start noticing all red cars. They're all around you, but you don't notice them until you start focusing on them, until you start looking for it, right? You ever done that before with a haircut? You're like, I'm going to get the coolest haircut ever, and no one's ever had it before. And then once you get it, you start seeing it everywhere. And you're like, everyone had, because you started focusing on that. See, we need to shift our focus and start looking for opportunities around us. Start looking for opportunities to serve. Start looking for opportunities to share. Start looking for opportunities to be mission-minded and push the mission forward. That's the first thing. The second thing is super easy, is you need to take those opportunities. When you see those opportunities around you, take them. We are very good at Christians as seeing something and just walking right past. We think to ourselves when we see something, we just go, well, you know what? Somebody else will probably take care of that. Yeah, that kind of needs to be done, but someone else will take care of it. Yeah, that person probably needs to know about Jesus. Someone else will tell them. Yeah, that person should be invited to church, but I'll just leave somebody else to do it. See, if God's giving you that mission, what you can't do is ignore the opportunities in front of you. And when you shift your focus to see the opportunities, then you need to take the opportunities. And some of you are like, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them, because if you see it, you got to do something about it. But if you're a follower of Jesus, you take your mission seriously. You not only see it, but you do something about it. At school, as you guys are back in the classrooms, as you guys are back around friends, there are so many opportunities around you to tell people about Jesus, to share Jesus with them, to show Jesus to them with the way that you live. At home with your families. But my families already know Jesus. Jesus didn't say, you only get a pass if they don't know me. He said, be the light to the world. Start with your own world. Start with your own world. Right, there are opportunities around you, and I can't lay out all of them, but what I can say is that you need to start looking for them. Because when you start seeing those opportunities, you understand what you need to do. The responsibility falls to you. Guys, I know that God has called you to a massive mission. I know it's big. I know it can be hard sometimes to even comprehend this giant mission, but what I know is that you guys can do it. I know that you can do it. You have a mission. Will you accept it? It's up to you. Will you accept it? See, part of our mission is to be a witness. He said, go be a witness to the world. And what I want you to know is the witness is not something you do, but rather it's who you are. Would you guys bow your heads with me? God, thank you so much that you've entrusted us with your mission. God, that the plan for this world is us. And it's heavy, it's a lot of weight on our shoulders, but thank you for trusting us with it, because we are capable. These students are capable. These leaders are capable. And so, God, I pray for your power and your strength on us as we live out the mission that you have given us in our world. We love you, Jesus. We pray this in your name. Amen.